Let's talk about 5 tips that will help you instantly improve no matter what your skill level is. I made one of these at the start of FC24. I know that we're pretty much halfway into this game cycle now. There's a lot more information that I can give you guys to try and help you guys out a little bit. These tips can help you if you're a player that can't qualify for FUT champs, or if you're a player that gets 16 plus, 18 plus wins every single weekend, because odds are in your losses, you were probably doing these things wrong or not doing these things enough. So let's not waste any more time. Subscribe if you are new for all types of content on the channel. Let's begin with tip number 1. If you guys want to buy coins, you can go to mmoxp.com. The link is in the description. Use my code JFC at checkout for a 5% discount. Now, tip number 1 is going to be one that I actually mentioned at the number 1 spot in my previous 5 pro tips video, because it is that important. And the number 1 tip is going to be to stop over sprinting. And in this game, there's the new R1 sprint mechanic. You got to stop doing too much of that too. In this game, a lot of times, if you are in a rut and you can't seem to get yourself wins, you're probably playing too fast and you're probably sprinting into nothingness. Because when you sprint too much, it messes with your AI. It messes with the dribbling of your player. It obviously makes you very easy to predict because you're taking sprint touches every time, which are giant touches a lot of the time. It just basically puts you in a giant hole, and oftentimes, even if you're a really good player, and you usually don't do this, when you start to get frustrated or upset, you tend to start doing this more often. I'll show an example of what I mean by not over sprinting. So let's play this clip and then I'll kind of explain it after. So I have basically a breakaway with Mbappe a little bit, or kind of a breakaway where I don't really sprint the whole way, and it really helps me. And we ended up scoring, I think, with Eusebio here. Yeah, we did. So let's end up going back. Right here when Puskas is just about to pass this to Mbappe. But I'm right here, right? You would expect, see all the space I've got? Like, hey, you want to sprint right here. Mbappe, rapid plus, right? You definitely want to sprint right into the space. Well, actually, I know I have KDB coming to help here, and I know I have Eusebio, and also down here on my radar, which you can't see, I have somebody else too. So I have plenty of options. So I could sprint into the space, or R1 dribble, whatever you wanted to do. And I end up taking 1 sprint touch. But this first touch I take, if we slow it down, is not a sprint touch, right? See, this first touch I take, he takes 1 gentle touch, then a sprint touch. And now, because I have so many options now, I'm glad I did not sprint, because KDB's here wide open. Eusebio will be here eventually. I can go from KDB, Eusebio, shoot, or KDB, Eusebio, Hullet, shoot, right? So just keep it going here. And if I sprinted with Mbappe there, I could have just gone all the way through, but what probably happened is he probably catches me, because defenders in this game are all super fast. They seem to catch you no matter what. And yeah, we end up scoring because you just take that little tiny touch where you didn't sprint right away. You don't have to sprint into that space all the time. Here's one where my opponent does sprint into the space and just gets instantly caught up to, right? Garincha here has space, boom, takes a sprint touch, instantly caught up to, and then he loses the ball. When he has this right here, yeah, he can take that sprint touch. You might say to yourself, like, how the fuck does Hullet catch Garincha here? Because we're playing FC24 and that's how this works. What he should do is either just take this space up here and just walk into it, or you can R1 dribble maybe up here into this space. You can R1 dribble into this space here if he wants to, maybe go backwards if I overextend with Hullet going this way. There's so many different things he can do here that one of the last things I would do personally is sprint to Garincha here, because I can maybe try and tackle or just, you know, take a gamble with these two guys, or just catch him with Hullet, which is exactly what happens. And at first glance, if you're not playing well, you might try and sprint directly into that space, and that's what he does, and Hullet just closes the angle and they instantly take it away. So the point is, over sprinting, too much R1 sprinting, you don't want to do it. Our second tip is going to be to utilize your playstyle pluses. Now, this is one that's obviously new for this game. What I mean by utilize your playstyle pluses is basically abuse them. In this game, playstyles are almost everything. There's only a couple cards I've used all year where like the playstyles haven't mattered too much. Playstyles and playstyle pluses specifically are so important in this game that some cards are virtually used unusable if they don't have a very good one. Some cards are basically all of a sudden gods if they have a very good one. I made a 5 playstyle pluses you must have in your team video if you want to go check that out. But basically, you need to just start abusing your playstyle pluses because they are so good in this game, and that is how you break defenses down a lot of the time, because auto defensive AI is just so good this year. So with utilizing playstyles, right, for example, finesse shot plus, one of the best playstyles in the game. Even in an angle like this, I'm still doing the finesse shot. Even when you wouldn't expect really it would make a lot of sense. Now, it looks like I just actually took a touch here and then finessed it, which would make sense. But I actually, as you can see, I'm already pressing this before he even gets the ball. So I tried to first time shot this with KDB like right here as a finesse shot. Now, you might might say that would be faded in most instances, but actually, literally almost any time I shoot with Team of the Year KDB, I'm doing a finesse shot because playstyles are that broken. What ends up happening is I actually end up taking a touch and then shooting it, ends up working out. The second I get this ball with KDB, I'm thinking about nothing else besides a finesse shot angle, because I know if I can get a finesse shot angle, it is a 99.9% chance at a goal. If we go back, the second this ball gets to De Bruyne, which obviously know what play styles your players have, I'm only looking at a finesse shot angle, right? And end up getting one, easy goal. The second this ball gets to Hansen, who has finesse shot plus, I'm thinking about one thing. It's just a finesse shot. Get an angle to shoot a finesse shot, even from that far out. I'm shooting it. This goes with every play style. It goes with power shot. It goes with rapid plus if you got guys with hella pace. It goes with long ball, incisive pass. You're trying to find the angle for a through ball or trying to find an angle from over the top through ball. You're only trying to find ways for your play style pluses to be utilized, because if you're not doing that, you are probably missing out on a lot of crazy chances that you can get by just kind of abusing your play style pluses, which you kind of have to do in this game. The third tip we're going to talk about is you need to be as unpredictable as you can possibly be. Basically means when you have the ball, you need to make sure that opponent just has to guess what you're going to do and has no idea and cannot really predict at all what's coming. Because if the less that they can do that, the less your opponent can predict what's coming, the more success you're going to have in general when you have the ball. Basically, one thing you can do, change up the speeds a bunch. Mix in sprints, R1 dribbles, and just walking up the field. We talked about that earlier. Mix in all three of those. Mix in skill moves. Mix in driven passes and normal X passes. Go backwards a little bit, but then fly forward all of a sudden when you see an opening. You got to be as unpredictable as you can possibly be. When the opponent can read you super easily, you are putting yourself at a massive disadvantage. You're going to kind of hoping, honestly, for just like a good AI run in the through ball to work. I mean, if you are being predictable, you are probably not going to win that game. So go learn a new skill move. If you know skill moves, but maybe don't use them too often, start using them. There's a lot of great skill moves, which I can make a video on soon about what the best skill moves are if you guys want that. You got to mix in all kinds of gameplay, and then that will really unlock your full potential. Number 4 is going to be your personnel. Now, what does this really mean? Well, oftentimes if you're having trouble with something in your team, like something isn't working, you're losing a lot of games, a lot of times you're going to think that you need to change a lot up. Oftentimes what it actually is, whatever formation you're rocking, whether it be the 4-3-2-1 like this is here, oftentimes one player in your team is kind of the reason you're struggling a little bit, whether that could be a work rate problem, whereas in game my team looks like this, right? You kind of got De Bruyne on the right side of mid, SCN here, Hullet here. And if I was struggling, I might say, okay, well, KDB has high, medium work rates in the midfield. All right. SCN has high, so maybe that's a problem because obviously he's my CDM. Maybe high work rates is an issue there. Oh, it has high, medium, right? That works for me, but a lot of times what can happen is one player in your team only is causing a big issue. That could be work rates. It could just be the player just isn't very good. So a lot of times if you think your midfield's getting overrun, you think you don't have anything in attack, a lot of times it could be a work rate or just a one-person personnel problem. It's Eusebio high, medium, Puskas high, medium, Mbappe is high, low. If for some reason you cannot figure out what is going on, you kind of got to play around with things until you figure out what the problem is. The point is, a lot of times you think, oh, this team's ass. Much of the time, it's like one player in your team is causing a problem that fucks up the rest of the team. It's kind of something I've learned over the years. And also here, players in this game like Eusebio, they will just miss chances, okay? Eusebio, Puskas, Team of the Year Kevin De Bruyne, this Mbappe card, they will just miss chances once in a while. A lot of the time, there's not really much you can do. So don't rage about a player missing one wide open chance, because in this game, they're probably going to. The finishing is not very good. So if a player consistently does that, maybe it's a problem, but a lot of the time, don't just stop using a player because they miss one sitter. Because in this game, I mean, players just miss a sitter. Like, I mean, you can't do anything about it. So using the right personnel for you is very important. Last but not least, it's arguably the most important tip. This was a tip I've talked about over the channel over the course of my year and a half or almost 2 years of having this channel now, and that is your mentality. If your mentality sucks, you will suck. There's no other way to put it. In FIFA, you will concede goals that you could have done nothing to stop. There's going to be goals that are scored that you are going to say, what the fuck? I did not deserve to concede here at all. But if you let that get to you, you're probably going to start playing a lot worse. And a lot of times there are goals that you're going to score where you're like, oh, I fucked up, drag this guy out of position, yada, yada, yada. That was on me, and then you just reset and go from there. It's important to know the distinction of when it's a goal that you couldn't have stopped or a goal you could have stopped. It's also important to be like, yeah, the game we're playing right now, it's not the best a lot of the time. So you have to just take it on the chin and be like, okay, let's just move on from here. Is it a lot easier said than done? Absolutely it is. Like, I think in the game I'm showing here, I believe I went down 1-0 really early on against a guy who was really bad at the game. I think I might have even been close to going down 2-0. A lot of times, the better you get, you start to understand, hey, I'm better than this guy almost immediately. You can kind of tell that. But sometimes you can go 1-0 down, 2-0 down against those guys just off of kind of some lucky stuff. And you can't let that get to you. You gotta just keep focused. And you know over time, you got 90 minutes. Well, I mean, 6-minute halves. You got 12 minutes to really work your way towards the win. And that is a lot of time. So you just gotta focus on what you can control. Don't get too heated. Don't get too upset. You watch the pros play. They're not raging. They just know, like, if the opponent scores a shit goal, they're like, oh, that sucks. Something I could do. And they just move on from there. And like I said, a lot easier said than done, but it will help you out so much, because if you go back and watch your gameplay, which is also another tip I can talk about, if you go back and watch your gameplay and you realize when you know you were raging, you are playing like horse shit. I'm telling you right now, if you go back and watch your games when you're raging, it's shocking how bad you're playing. So it's very important to keep your mentality, and that helps for no matter what your skill level is, whether you just started or whether you're a 20-0 player every weekend. It's very important. Subscribe if you're new for all types of content, whatever you guys want to see in the channel. I'm here for you guys. Leave a comment down below what you guys would like to see. I love you all. See you next video, Reverso. Peace.